Strap yourself in because we're set up, switched on, and ready to go.
Yes, sir. Reading you loud and clear. Clear. The clock has started. The clock has started.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1 more. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
You are now tuned in to this week's episode of our podcast. Today we are going to interview some of the greatest and most influential minds in our field. By sharing our collective expertise, we will show you how to harness, control, and use your own skill set to achieve ultimate success and live the life you want. And now, please welcome your host.
Welcome to this week's Smallcast podcast. This podcast is designed for the small government contractors, service providers, and manufacturers, part of the government contractor ecosystem, connecting people, organizations, and resources. I'm your host, Just Nate, and this week we've got DK. Welcome, DK.
Thanks, Nate.
We've got J.A. Behind the camera system, so helping out today.
Intern Jen.
No, not an intern.
Producer Jen. We've been having technical difficulties today.
Yeah, it's okay.
It's good.
And anybody can be trained.
It's good. And we haven't been in this room for a long time, so this used to be our studio. We use this every time, and then we've been gone for a while.
Okay, so we have somebody in person.
Yes.
So we have Adrienne Fischer. Adrienne comes to us from Basecamp Legal, correct?
Correct.
And what do you do there? What's your title? I forgot to ask you that.
I'm the founder of Basecamp Legal.
Oh, okay. It's just the founder.
Just the founder.
And CEO?
And CEO, principal attorney.
Okay, you should probably add that as your to your signature block in your emails because it's not on there.
Oh, okay.
Maybe she's humble.
I see. That's me giving her legal advice. Actually, not legal advice. Just
yeah.
advice.
We better be careful.
Advice.
We need to be careful today. We're going to hell.
You know what? People can sue me for everything I have.
we haven't gotten in trouble yet. We're waiting.
I didn't check.
Did Elon Musk call you back yet?
Not yet. But I have not checked also the Mega Millions. I bought a ticket yesterday.
Oh, you did?
440 million. I don't know if it went out or not. So I'll have to check.
You may not be coming back tomorrow.
I might not. I don't know. I checked.
And then you'll be on that show I've seen lately where it's like lottery homes. Have you guys seen that? Where people that win the lottery, then they go out and buy, $1 million home or whatever.
If I win the 440 million, we will have our own studio. I promise you that.
And you're not going to buy Twitter.
No.
I may buy some more stock as soon as I get it. I've been watching it, hoping it was going to tank, but it hasn't tanked yet. It actually went up today, so.
Yeah, who knows? All right, so Basecamp Legal. So I'll be totally honest with you. I was excited. I'm familiar with a company called Basecamp. And it's actually a collaborative tool. Are you familiar with them too, I guess? Because, yeah, did they try to sue you? No, just kidding. So I was so when I first saw the little tag on the invite for the meeting today, I was like, oh, we're going to talk to Basecamp. Oh, I know those guys. I used their product for a little bit. I was kind of beta testing their stuff. And
no, Adrienne comes to us
Basecamp
via a
Legal.
mutual friend.
I know. Carrie Palmatier from Palmatier Law. I will put a plug in for her.
Yeah.
So again, sorry, I keep on interrupting. What's Basecamp Legal? What do you guys do?
So we're mainly a corporate and trademark law firm. So we handle commercial transactions, corporate governance questions, contracts, employment, and trademarks.
Oh, so like give me an example of like any company, I guess, really.
Yes, actually I kind of fell into working with some government contractors thanks to Carrie. And so we've had the opportunity to assist, especially some of the smaller businesses that are working and trying to get government contracts, trying to get their legal foundations in place.
So you'll come in and help companies. We're a little bigger now, but you'll come in and help companies if they've got all legal questions from end to end, or do you typically have to bring other folks in, or you guys can handle?
So we do work on a distributed legal services model, so we will bring in experts under our firm or try to work with them if we can. The things we kind of don't do are litigation or, specialized tax, ERISA, those types of things.
See, Dennis, we're safe. She doesn't do that.
Litigation.
Type of stuff.
Oh,
litigation.
good.
Of stupid stuff that idiot podcasters say.
So what's like? Can you give me an example of, you don't have to name the company or anything like that, but kind of what you've helped them do like recently?
Sure. So we've had a space company that we were working with. We were able to successfully, after 3 years, get their name on the register for the USPTO. A lot of government contractors or just small businesses generally don't think about trademarking their name. Actually, one of the bigger issues is a lot of times they don't even look at to see if their name's available. And I can't tell you how many people have come to me and said, I got a cease and desist letter. I actually have a trademark for Basecamp Legal.
I assume so.
I would hope so.
But
so you sued Basecamp? I'm just kidding.
we can coexist because we provide different services.
Yes,
but
yes. And Basecamp. So you know what Basecamp is, right? Are you familiar with what I mean? Is that why you named it that?
No, actually, I'm an avid outdoors person,
Yes.
hiker, skier, and I just thought it would be a really cool name for a law firm.
Yeah, well, I base camp a lot, where we do that with the family. We'll go to a place and we base camp and then go do our activities.
He doesn't really camp. He glamps.
No, I camp too, but I do glamp now.
So real quick, before we move on too much farther, there's a couple things you said in here that I want to get back to because a lot of our listeners might not know. You said USPTO. What is that?
Sure, it's the United States Trademark and Patent Office. I think I got that. USPTO, Patent and Trademark Office.
Yeah.
I reversed
Patent and Trademark Office.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now what is the difference between patent, trademark, copyright?
Yeah, so a trademark is a source identifier, right? So if you think of a brand, like if you think of Nike associated with sportswear, you know that if you're buying tennis shoes with a swoosh on it, that's coming from Nike, right? That's the brand identifier of what the product is, and that's where the consumer knows the company behind the product.
Okay.
So you can trademark slogans, you can trademark names, but it has to be used in commerce. So you have to put it out there on the market under that name,
Okay.
and it has to function as a trademark. So it has to be the source of the brand or the brand identifier. So if you can't trademark something that's just descriptive, like you can't trade if you're a stationery store, you can't trademark stationery store or soft drink dispensary.
So Apple, right?
Right.
They've been in the news like forever they're constantly suing people for trademark issues. But I don't understand how you can trademark. The last one I thought that they sued was somebody had just like any representative fruit. They're like, no, we have that trademark. I'm like, no, you have an apple with a bite out of it. That's it. Like,
Yeah. So Apple is a very arbitrary trademark, right? Because when you associate apples, you don't really think of computers until Apple was born, right?
Yeah.
So Apple got kind of the higher level of protection, and those are the trademarks that are the easiest to get through these days, because if something's arbitrary, unrelated to the services, and also if you're making up names, like it's very hard. If you give me a list of 5 names, oftentimes it's super difficult to clear those names because a lot of names are taken.
Mm-hmm.
So the ones that are getting through are names that are really unique or arbitrary and unrelated to services.
how much different do they have to be?
That's a good question. It's an attorney answer. It really depends.
It's not black and white,
It's-
apparently.
Well, like she said, it depends on your market, what you're doing, types of services you have.
I didn't realize that. I didn't realize you could have the same name. Like, could I name my company Apple
No.
if I don't
Not
sell
anymore.
computers?
No, now, you'd probably get, there's a wide market. And you have to think of who you're going against, right? Apple has a lot of money.
Yeah, so
but-
they'd sue. You technically could, but they would probably sue you because that's their name.
Yeah, there's some certain companies out there that are really protective over their marks and will just go after anyone who uses them.
I have
So,
heard that.
so is this a pretty common problem? Like, I mean, I guess it would be because you're starting a company. Well, what do I name my company? And trying to find a name. Is that in your business? Is that relatively common?
All the time.
Yeah.
I get companies that have said, I've been operating for 3 years and I finally got a cease and desist and now I have to change my entire name
That's
and slogan, or
Yeah.
I've bought, signage. I've been doing I have a lot of collateral.
So
So foot stomp as you're starting a business.
Start there.
Clear the name first.
how do you start that? Do you have to go through a legal service like you, or can you go on
You
a
go
website
online.
and say,
You can do it, and I often encourage my clients, go on to the USPTO and play around. You can just click search, and you'll enter their search directory, which is called tests, and you just put in what you want to name your trademark, and you can start looking to see if there's any direct hits. One of the things with going and doing it yourself is it doesn't always pick everything up, obviously. We use a search service that's an AI software. So if you hire an attorney, they should be using AI software or an in-depth search that we pay for that will clear, marks that kind of sound like other marks, or whether there's a different spelling or things of that nature. So
We never really looked at the smalls. We actually had issues. Remember when we were looking for the domain and everything else? There are several the smalls out there. They're different. One's a band and one's something else. But I got in trouble when I was in high school.
well, ours is an acronym though.
It's not an acronym.
Sure it is. It's the Small Government Contractor Collaborative.
Yeah, but it's not an acronym.
Okay. Whatever, somewhat. Smalls. So
So I almost got sued from, I was in a rock band and we were called Crossfire, and we'd been that for quite a while, and we had the name out, and we were starting to tour, and some company, it was a country band, came to us and said, hey, we already have that name. Somebody in like Alabama somewhere, and they threatened to sue us. So we had to change our name.
So what was it?
Crossfire.
So you could make, say, Crossfires, right? Add an S.
No.
So it has to be different enough that it won't be
Associated
or cause confusion amongst consumers. So if it's too confusing for a consumer,
So you just confused him. How did you get it then? Basecamp Legal,
well,
It's a little
so
different.
it's different because we're offering different services. Nobody is going. Basecamp has a tool that they use for collaboration, but they're probably not going to go to that Basecamp for legal services, right?
Yeah.
And so I actually, myself, when I was applying for this trademark, we got, suspension notice from the USPTO. It took a couple of years before it was processed. So it's not a short process.
So it's another government process.
Yes.
The way it sounds.
It takes about a year these days.
So I mean, maybe instead of doing somebody do a search, would that just be easier just to put it out there and apply for the trademark and let them do the research for you to see if it goes through?
I mean, it's an expensive process to go through. I mean, it's $350 per class, and I think the last statistic I read said that you're 80% more likely to get through a USPTO examination with an attorney rather than without.
Because it's been assessed already.
It's been, you're just paying for them to do the assessment, and then a lot of times what will happen is the USPTO will issue what's called an office action, which basically means there's something wrong with your application or they want more information. And most clients will get that and go, uh-oh, I need an attorney. And, sometimes...
Honestly, I don't know. I think you're the first company I've heard locally, at least that we've talked to.
That does this.
That has went through the process of trademarking their name. Because once it's trademarked, you have to put the TM behind it, right? That's a requirement or something.
No.
So a TM is actually, when you're in the process of trademarking, you can't actually put the circle R, which is registered, until you're actually registered.
Okay.
But TM is like you're pending or you have a common law trademark.
Okay.
So you have a common law trademark just by using the name. But where people get into trouble is there's senior users, so somebody who's been using it longer than you, or a junior user, and then who registers on the USPTO first. Sometimes that'll limit your geographic location.
Hence the reason for lawyers.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It is. It's crazy. So other than, so name is one thing, patent, trademark.
Well, just trademark. So
Trademark.
name, slogan, you can actually trademark smells. You can trademark product.
Smells?
Did you
Yep.
see their faces?
Designs. Yep. Like perfumes.
Oh, yeah.
Well, okay, I guess it's not a copyright because copyright is something written or photographed, right?
Yeah, so copyrights are typically put into a fixed medium, and it has to be something that's copyrightable. So things like recipes or things like that aren't necessarily copyrightable, but a lot of companies will copyright their course materials.
Wait a second. You said they're not copyrightable. Recipes are not.
Right.
The first one that popped in my head was the Coca-Cola recipe.
So that's a trade secret.
Okay, that's something new.
That's something different.
It's secret sauce.
Okay, but that's why it's also the most heavily guarded piece of paper in the entire world. Did you know that?
No.
Coca-Cola, their recipe is like behind like
sugar and water.
No, it's like behind many closed doors, like 4 foot thick wall safes and stuff. It's crazy.
Or if you're a millennial on TikTok, they were doing the healthy Coca-Cola with balsamic vinegar, but I don't buy that.
No, that doesn't sound like it.
Yeah, no.
Okay, so that's a trade secret. Okay, so back to the trademark because that's where you guys focus on. Yep. You said you were saying you can trademark names for your company, and what about your logo? Is that a separate process, or could you do it all together?
So sometimes you'll do it all together. It's kind of an assessment, whether you want to do something that's a design mark that has the name in it. Sometimes that's a way to get your trademark through the examination process. Other times you'll do it completely separate. I always tell people I like to trademark names because they're the broadest net you can cast. And people change their logos all the time. I know my logo has evolved over time, and I didn't necessarily, it's not the first one that I used when I started my business.
Right. We changed too. So you don't just do trademarks, though. You do all of the. Yeah.
We do commercial transactional work too, so and corporate governance. So we'll get people that come to us, and they, a lot of people are interested right now in becoming public benefit companies, and choosing their entity form. Maybe they started as an LLC, maybe they're going to convert to a corporation. So doing their corporate governance docs to allow for that conversion.
We need a doctor.
Do you do nonprofit stuff too?
We do not do nonprofit stuff, but I do have a good referral.
Do you?
Yes.
Because we are 501c6, but we're trying to see should we change it to
or keep part
3 or add a C3 to it. I don't know how that works. So
I actually have a referral that's not an attorney because attorneys are expensive, and some of the nonprofits, they work with nonprofit attorneys if you need it, but they're just a good organization.
Okay. Yeah, we'll take that. So again, back to the customers, because this is great, by the way. I did not know all this.
You just cleared your throat into the microphone and then did this off to the side.
Sorry. So anyways, this has been very interesting. We haven't had anybody talking about this kind of stuff before. So what, back to my case studies. So you said you had somebody with the name, name recognition. What are other kind of issues you've had recently with companies that you've had to deal with?
The name one comes up a lot, and I just want to add to, it's not just enough to go on the USPTO. You should go on to the Secretary of State where you're registering your business and just look around and see who else is using similar names to you. I can't tell you how many times somebody has come to me and said, well, I looked at the Secretary of State and I saw that name, but I thought if I just put an S at the end of it, or
like Nate.
Yep, that it would be different enough.
Well, and the reason why I say that,
and in Scrabble that works.
Oh no, the reason why I say that. So back in the day when I was doing my undergrad, no, actually it was one of my masters. Anyway, it was a book that I had to buy, and I'm like, man, books are getting outrageously expensive, like $400 for a stupid 200-page book. And I'm like, this is insane.
Because they're copyrighted.
So I found one on the web, right? Yeah, it's copyright, right? So I found one on the web, and I open it up, and I'm like, it's identical to another person's book, but it's missing letters. Like literally, instead of written by Dartmouth College, it said Artmouth College. They literally just went through the entire book and pulled out letters. And I'm like, well, this is not a big deal. My brain, a human brain, can actually read that. My brain could fill it all in, even though I've never seen the words before. Your brain can fill in 99%.
There's a study that's just come out where they actually did that, where they bolded. Did you see that? Like the start of a word, and you can read it super fast.
Yeah. So, but where I got in trouble was 2 weeks into this 12-week course, and the book got into the equations. Your brain can't fill in equations. So I had to go buy the original book anyway. So I've got both books, and it's kind of funny to watch them, look at them. I'm like, it had to have come from China or something, but I was like, that sucks. I think I still pay like $60 for that stupid book. And yeah, so that's how they apparently tried to get away from being sued for copyright infringement or something.
Yeah, copyright infringement's kind of interesting because you have something called registered and unregistered copyrights, right? So you have, if you don't register with the Copyright Office, you have what's called an unregistered copyright, which really is a copyright without teeth to it. If you actually register with the Copyright Office, then you're eligible for attorney's fees as well as disgorgement of profits.
Okay.
Whereas if you have an unregistered copyright, off the top of my head, I think you're only eligible for profits that you can, prove, or economic damages that you can prove.
Now, an unregistered copyright, I think if I remember right, I did some research on that. Somebody said, well, if you just send it yourself in the mail, certified copy, that was a story that was going around anyway.
Yeah, that's called the poor man's copyright.
Yeah.
It doesn't work.
Doesn't work anymore, huh?
But
Probably never did. I don't know. Like I said, it's
So Nate's been mailing them still.
well because you can copyright ideas, right? You can,
yeah.
Oh.
is it
cannot-
trademark?
You cannot ideas are not copyrightable. Actually, fun fact is it has to be something fixed into a tangible medium. So you can copyright things that are on your lesson plans, your ideas that you fix into paper.
So it has to
that
be written
are
down.
written down and convey some meaning. So you can copyright like some code if you're source code. But you can't, like, an idea isn't copyrighted, but what you can do is copyright when it's fixed into a tangible medium.
It doesn't have to be detailed, right? Like, well, we'll get into that. So we got to go to a quick break. When we come back, we'll talk more about it.
Business owners, looking for out-of-the-box solutions? 5 Star Bank's Business Solutions Group is here to help you with all your financing needs. When you need a creative, innovative approach that goes beyond traditional solutions, think of 5 Star Bank. We care about the growth of our local business community. With offices in Colorado Springs, Denver, and Trinidad, 5 Star Bank is easy to find. Visit 5star.bank to connect with us today. That's the number 5, STAR.bank. Equal housing lender, member FDIC.
Welcome back to this week's Small Scast Podcast. This week we have Adrienne Fischer with Basecamp Legal, the CEO and founder. Welcome.
Thanks for having
Welcome
me.
back.
Welcome back.
Back.
Okay, so before we went to break, we were talking about copywriting ideas. Understand you can't copyright an idea because, well, an idea is not written down. But if you write the idea down, it's tangible. How much detail do you need? For example, I'll get into this. Let's say I have an idea to make some type of fishing camera system that can go under the water and watch the fish, right? Obviously, when I have the idea, I know what I want. I can drop a picture of it, the idea around the picture, but I can't, I don't have it fully designed yet, right? All right down to the nuts, bolts, screws, washers, code. Is that okay to copyright, or once again, probably depends,
Attorney,
right?
it depends. You might be looking at a patent depending on the design, right? So you might be looking at a patent to get the actual device, protected. You might be able to copyright certain images. You may be able to trademark the name of the product. You may be able to, if you have a specific packaging, maybe you can trademark the look of that packaging. As far as copyright, maybe you can copyright some of the designs or the schematics. But a lot of people associate copyrights with, the ideas being written down. Think of books, short books, lesson manuals, things like that.
Okay.
So bottom line is, if I have a business and I'm coming up with some kind of a product, I should almost always, in a name, I'm starting a company, I need to come to a company like you and say, hey, here's the name I'm thinking, is this good? And then the next thing is, here's the products that we're building or thinking about building, and the whole assembly or whatever, and really walk through that whole piece if you're serious.
Well, and it doesn't always make sense to trademark, right? It doesn't always make sense to get that trademark. It depends on if you're really local and not selling services beyond your, where you're located. Maybe it doesn't make sense to get a national trademark.
Is it expensive to get a trademark?
It can be, if on an easy end, you're looking at a couple $1,000s on a more complex, and if you run into problems with an examining attorney where you've got likelihood of confusion, or you find out somebody else is using the mark because you didn't do the registration, then you're looking at, then it's more like multiple thousands and tens of thousands in some cases.
Which
so
most companies
businesses
probably couldn't
don't
afford,
have,
right?
yeah.
When you're starting up, you have you,
Yeah.
or
Yep.
maybe two people.
So, but it is, from a legal perspective, it is probably a good idea if you have some capital.
Well, I
you
think,
can put
like
against
she
that.
said, if you're trying to sell products globally and become the next Apple, the next
Yeah.
Google, the next Samsung, you probably definitely need some help. But if you're selling lemonade out of your lemonade stand in your front yard, probably not so much.
I think it's always worth it to just get an assessment because a lot of people come to me and there are many times where I say, don't bother trademarking. Either it's too descriptive or, there's some other mitigating reason why it may not make sense. And then I have clients that come back when they're a little bigger, or they've expanded or something and something's changed. Sometimes I'll tell people, sorry, you have to change your name, or sometimes.
That's got to be the hardest part
Yeah.
for a company, right?
So you
to
can't
hear.
be Nate anymore.
Well, if you branded your entire company, even after a year, that's your
yeah.
brand name.
Oh, yeah.
All your customers are like, what?
Yeah, a lot of times they couch it as, oh, we're going through a rebrand.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Smalls 2.0.
Yes, Smalls 2.0.
So you said an assessment. Is that, I know nothing of attorneys, so is that still on an hourly basis then? Or, if I'm a small business, how do I plan to even do an assessment?
So we'll do an assessment for hundreds of dollars. Like it's not a huge investment to do an assessment on a trademark. And a lot of times we can do an assessment, and if you're going to go through to the application, we just add the application fee to that.
Okay.
So we can clear the name.
So it's doable for the small business. You're not going to come in and say, yes, it's going to cost you $25,000 to get the assessment done, and then if it's taken, at least you can't use it now. Thanks for your $25,000.
Yeah, and I'll almost always, just point people to the USPTO for a direct hit search
Sure.
at least.
So I'm going to go to my normal lines here. How did you get into this? Because, this is a little different. I know the lawyers, there's all these different venues and areas you can go to. How'd you get into this area?
Accidentally.
I
I started my legal career, believe it or not, more than 10 years ago.
wouldn't have believed that, but go ahead. I was going to make a comment, but I decided, since you're a lawyer, I better not make any comments. You're not old enough to be a lawyer.
I got that from judges a lot. So I didn't always know I was going to be a lawyer. Actually, we're in a 9/11 family. Decided to, I wanted to go to New York from LA. I grew up in Los Angeles for undergrad, so I went to NYU. And I interned for the first federal blind judge, just kind of got the job on a whim as an undergrad. So I was in chambers in the Southern District of New York, if you're familiar with Law and Order. Got to go in that building. And so I spent a semester working with his clerks, just as a file clerk, really, and watching trials. And decided then that I was going to go to law school. After I graduated, I still wasn't quite sure I wanted to be a lawyer and make the investment in law school. Lots of loans.
Yeah, long time too, right?
And 3 more years of school. So I worked for an entertainment law firm in LA.
Oh.
Got to see movie stars getting divorced. And
What? No way.
I thought you were going to be
Sometimes I think they just set that up. I don't know a single one that's been married the entire life.
I thought you were going to be talking about you did bands or something like that, or.
I wish I did bands. No, we did some athletes and some reality show contracts. So I got to see some interesting people in the office. But so worked in entertainment law for a year, and then decided to go to law school.
What is that?
There's somebody outside making weird noises. I thought she was going to say she was the lawyer that behind your cease and desist on your name of your.
Yeah, I wrote
Crossfire.
But
No,
she's not.
it was a letter from them, not as well. I don't know if it was from a lawyer. It was from the.
I would assume it has to be.
Could have been.
Some people self-write.
Yeah, they just wanted us to
Cease and desist, or I'm
cease
going
and
to send
desist.
somebody after
Well,
you.
that is what they said. They're going to sue
I got
us.
a bat.
They're going to sue us. Yeah. So and then now you're in Colorado. So
Yeah, so I went to law school in Los Angeles and spent the first 5 years litigating and decided I really did not like being in the courtroom.
Okay,
and
so litigating, does that mean a trial lawyer?
Yeah, so I did trial, I did employment and business law, and I did not like the games. I did not like, the type of writing I was doing, and I decided I was going to build a firm to try to keep my clients out of the courtroom.
Nice.
Yeah, no offense to lawyers, but being a trial lawyer, if you're the one that's, what is it called when you're given a case to
prosecutor?
No, like
like a plaintiff's attorney or
a complaint, or somebody that can't afford a lawyer, so you're given one, right? But you obviously are guilty. I mean, I could not do that as a lawyer. Just like literally, there's video of you killing these 3 people, and you're saying you're not guilty. How am I supposed to defend you on that?
Yeah. Yeah.
I have a colleague who does that. It's a hard job for sure. I couldn't do it.
I couldn't either. I'd just be like.
So how'd you end up in Colorado?
My husband and I looked around Los Angeles and said, we'll never be able to afford a house here.
And not here either now.
Well, this was 7 years ago. It was a little bit more affordable. So we looked around and we started looking at other states, and nobody had a bad thing to say about Colorado. Not one person we talked to they were like, no, Colorado's great.
Except
Denver's
that all
great.
the Californians are here now. So
Now we are going to get hate mail. We love Californians.
Yeah.
Just keep your drugs and homeless people with you.
We're glad that you're doing this because, we help the small business ecosystem out there, and, there's so many opportunities, but there's so many pitfalls you could step into if you're not really paying attention. And so I appreciate what you guys are doing. That it's good for, our clients, if you will, out there who need help. Are you involved with any professional organizations that folks can meet you at, or are you, do you guys host events?
She becomes part of the smalls.
Do you host events or anything like that, or?
We do, yes. I've been involved in the chambers. I've been involved in the GovCon Alliance with Gary.
Okay.
I'm actively involved in the Bar Association. But yes, we host events. We're hoping to do some more. We've done.
I know COVID screwed things up for a bit, but.
Yeah, we're just starting to do live events again. We did quite a few Zoom webinars. We try to provide a lot of free education. I did a couple accelerators. Just to mentor companies.
Catalyst Campus.
Yeah.
I'm going to put a plug in for Catalyst Campus. We should talk to them.
Happy to.
We'll put connections together.
Yeah, a lot of it is just the nuts and bolts, the foundations. Small businesses will hire independent contractors, and maybe they don't have the correct contracts in place, or their employment agreements might have non-compete still, which, there's a new law coming out in Colorado that's going to prohibit them pretty much unless you're making a certain amount of money. And so, just keeping on top of those types of agreements and things like that.
Well, we will gladly help promote your events. And
100%.
This is great having you on. So if people want to get a hold of you, how do they do that? Where do they find you?
Yeah, so the easiest way to find us is on our website, basecamplegal.com. So that's BASECAMPLEGAL.com. And you can book a consultation. We offer different lengths. We'll do free 15-minute, no legal advice, but see if we can work together. Otherwise, you can book, if you need fast legal advice, we have 30 and 60-minute consults.
Because you mentioned that is a question. I hear a lot of attorneys say that. I can't give you legal advice because you're not my client. So does client automatically mean money's transacted?
So our malpractice insurance providers prefer us to have an engagement letter in place. So if we give you the wrong advice, they'll hopefully cover the claim. So that's why most lawyers won't give legal advice. If you hear talk shows where, people call and get marginal legal advice, don't hold, I always say, anything I provide.
They're worried about getting sued.
Yeah, and I would disclaim anything provided on this podcast is for informational purposes only and not legal advice.
Yeah.
Look at it. She didn't even read that. She just has that memorized.
We should probably, do we need to put that on our site? Just kidding.
We do not give legal advice. Do not listen to us for legal advice at all. Matter of fact, we probably get 90% of what we say wrong, so it is what it is. we are for entertainment purposes only.
Information.
That's another thing. Website privacy policy, terms and conditions, disclaimers.
Yes. We also found out apparently you have to be
colors.
You have
The
to be
ADA.
Accessibility. Yep.
ADA compliant, or you can be sued for that. I'm like,
Tens of thousands of dollars.
it's just like we're making up jobs now.
No, we're making
I
people
didn't realize
money. We're making
that-
people money. That's what
Well, I
it
didn't realize
is.
attorneys dude, I don't know anything. I'm a redneck from North Dakota. I thought attorney was an attorney. But no, a trial lawyer can't do company stuff. They can't do trademark stuff. I mean, it's like,
Well, there is a basic thing. That's why I was asking her, how'd you get into this? Because there is a basic law degree.
What do you do with
and then
that?
you get-
be the file clerk,
No, just learn basic law stuff.
Yeah, so we all learn the same,
the Constitution.
Core curriculum.
core curriculum.
Yeah.
We all know a little con law, which,
Yeah.
a little bit of torts, bike accidents or car accidents, and a little bit of estate planning, a little bit of
But if you
real
wanted to,
estate.
could you just hop into becoming a trial lawyer right now?
No, I wouldn't recommend it. I would recommend you go to an attorney. We only really do business law and things that touch business. So,
But is there certain certifications that you have to do that then? Like you as an attorney, let's say tomorrow you're like, I don't want to do something on weekends or on Mondays and Tuesdays. That's not this.
I mean, I took classes to get into trademarks. I definitely took a lot of continuing legal education. I have mentors who fostered me through, and helped me guide me through, learning the new practice area. I think litigation helps just from a critical eye of reading a contract and going, no, that's too ambiguous. Let's not fight about that in court. But there's certain things that are helpful, but. I think, you should be looking at attorneys are highly specialized now, and
Yeah,
I would
that's-
certainly not come to me for criminal law advice or for your divorce.
Or you could, but she'll have a disclaimer.
For entertainment purposes
That's
only.
exactly. That's what I'm saying. Maybe we should put that at the beginning of everyone for entertainment purposes
Maybe we
only.
should do a
Welcome to this
consult
podcast.
with her.
So no, that's really cool.
Yeah.
We did have somebody else. I thought we had another attorney on.
Carrie.
No, besides Carrie. I
I
thought we had.
listened to a KO Prince or something
Yeah.
a couple weeks ago.
Yeah,
I don't remember.
yeah, we did.
And I may not have been on it.
Probably not. You've been absent a lot. Mine did.
I have been. Health issues.
Or traveling.
Back, though.
So we've both been traveling a lot.
So, well, hey, Adrienne, this was great. And again, what's the website for people to get a hold of you?
Sure, it's basecamplegal.com.
Basecamplegal.com. It's Adrienne Fischer. Make sure you reach out to her. And she is located in Denver. However, she is hybrid. So if you need to get a hold of her, she's everywhere. So she can be global or local. We will try to get her to some Smalls events coming up here in the future, particularly up in Denver. We're also having one next week.
I got some ideas about our next phase of the Smalls too that maybe we need to talk to her about for content on websites.
Yep. So we definitely welcome you to come and meet with our other clientele. There's usually pretty well attended. And again, for our audience out there, please, if you have legal questions with regards to trademark patents,
Not patents.
not patents, trademarks, and also just your organization and kind of where to go, reach out to Adrienne, and I believe they can help you, or she'll point you in the right direction anyways.
I do have referrals, yep.
Yeah. So, well, thank you so much for coming today. This was very interesting. We always joke around how every single person we talk to, it's like, whoa, never thought about that stuff. And it's new. Yep. And it's another aspect of things that you should really think about when you have a company.
Yep, we're really good at that.
Yeah. Yeah. So thank you very much. We really appreciate you coming down.
All right, thank you.
Well, thanks. And this is just Nate. Sign off.
Thanks for listening.
You've reached the end of another episode of the Smallscast podcast. Connect with us at thesmalls.org. Don't forget to sign up to our newsletter to receive our free materials. See you at the next episode.
See you at the next episode.